This is a nightmare.
What is wrong?
I have a bet with the bakery across the road that I can make more money selling bread and cakes today than he can. When I made the bet, I was sure I was going to win, but today I am having a supply chain issue with my bakery. I have plenty of most of my ingredients, but I am down to 4 cups of milk and a half dozen eggs, and I can't get any more delivered until tomorrow.
How can I help?
Can you tell me how many loaves of bread and how many cakes I should make? I do not have to make a lot of money. He is having the same supply chain issues I am having. I just need to make the most money possible.
That sounds like an integer linear programming problem. Integer linear programming problems are NP-complete. We can solve it, but it will take some time. And less. I can't believe I am even asking this. But can you make a fraction of a loaf of bread or a fraction of a cake?
Surprisingly, yes. In my bakery you can.
Really? I did not expect you to say that. You will have to show me how you make a half a cake. But for now, that simplifies the math. Non-integer linear programming problems can be solved in polynomial time. You can use my Simplex simulator. The link for the simulator is in the comments below. How much milk do you need for a loaf of bread?
1 cup of milk and 1 egg. The cake takes more. It still only needs 1 cup of milk, but it takes 3 eggs.
You have 4 cups of milk and 6 eggs. And how much profit do you make?
I make $5 for a cake and $3 for a loaf of bread.
Perfect. Let's plug that into the simulator. This is the feasible region based on the constraints of having only 4 cups of milk and 6 eggs. And this is the profit line we want to maximize. It turns out that it will intersect with at least one of the extreme points in the feasible region.
This part of the simulator is really fun. I like how the graphic changes as you change the equations.
I am glad it is useful. But for my students, the equations and tables on the right are the things they need to know how to do for the test. Once the graph is set up the way we want it, there is one final thing we need to do before we move on when we do this on paper. We need to get rid of the less than or equals to by adding 2 new variables. U for the unused milk and V for the unused eggs. Now the blue equation for the eggs is 1 times the number of loaves of bread, plus 3 times the number of cakes plus 1 times the unused eggs equals exactly 6. We also add in 0 times the unused milk just to keep all 3 equations consistent. Now that we know our formulas, we can press continue to fill in tables and do something similar to Gaussian elimination to maximize our profit. The values for the first table come directly from the equations. To save time, I am just going to press the Show Me button and have the simulator fill it in for me. If you do it yourself, remember that the last line is negative. This table represents the target line intersecting with the point 0, 0. Notice that with this solution you have 4 cups of unused milk and 6 unused eggs. With this solution you would make no bread and no cake, and therefore no profit.
Wait a second. That is a horrible solution. I am sure to lose then.
Don't worry. This is just the starting point. Each table we make will give us a better and better solution until we maximize the profit.
I hope so. How do we generate the next table?
The simulator will ask you to identify the pivot column. Ignoring the last column, the pivot column has the most negative value in the bottom row. You will know you are done when there are no more negative values to choose from. Which one would you choose in this table?
-5 is the most negative.
Perfect. Now choose the smallest, non-negative theta ratio in the right column. You calculate the theta ratio by dividing the value in the last column by the value in the pivot column. The theta ratio we choose will define our pivot row that will be important in our next table.
Okay. 6 divided by 3 is less than 4 divided by 1, so this is our pivot row. Whoa! The simulator automatically generated the next table. That was cool.
I am glad you liked it. I tried to make this simulator fun. With each new table we start by filling in the pivot row we identified in the last table. The pivot column has a Y at the top, so we make the new row start with a Y on the far left. We want to make the value in the pivot column of this row 1. We can do that by dividing the entire equation by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 1 divided by 3 is 0.3. If a box turns red, it means we made a mistake. The graphic will give us a hint on how to fix it.
So this cell should be 0, right?
Well done! Once we finish the pivot row, we can use it to do Gaussian elimination for the remaining rows. If we get a cell wrong, the simulator will give us the formula, but it is always our previous value, minus what we get if we multiply the value in the pivot row and the pivot value for this column we just calculated. Of course, the Show Me button will do it for you. This table says you are supposed to make 2 pies, making $10 profit.
That is better, but I noticed that we still have 2 cups of milk left and there is a negative value in the bottom row. Let's make this our pivot column and do another table.
Great idea. Don't forget to bring down the X. Fill in the pivot row by dividing the equation by 0.6. Then use that row to Gaussian eliminate the rest of the table.
With this solution I will make 3 loaves of bread and 1 cake. $14 profit is a lot more than I expected to make. I am sure to win the bet now. Thank you for the help.
Anytime. Thanks for watching.